Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Eleanor Power. I'm the Director of Marketing Communications and Business Development at the Faculty of Open Learning and Career Development at Dalhousie University in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'm delighted to welcome you to today's webinar on casino gaming investigations. Very timely topic. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that Dalhousie University is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. And we also recognize that African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years. I'm delighted to welcome our instructor for this course, as well as our host for today's webinar, Ian Messenger. So Ian joined the United Kingdom's Serious Organized Crime Agency in 2008 as an international operations officer, with responsibility for international and multilateral investigations through Interpol and Europol. Between 2011 and 2016, Ian served as a lead officer in the UK National Crime Agency's Intelligence and Operations Directorate, with responsibility for the Middle East and Asia, with specific responsibility for Afghanistan and Pakistan. Ian received his MA honors in social policy and politics and an MSc in criminology and criminal justice from the University of Edinburgh, and his doctorate of criminal justice from the University of Portsmouth. In 2014, Ian completed the certificate in police leadership from Dalhousie University from this faculty. And in 2016, Ian relocated with his family from the UK to Ontario, Canada. And since 2016, Ian has taught leadership and ethics courses at a number of higher education institutions in Canada. I'm so delighted to have Ian here with us. He brings such a wealth of knowledge and expertise to this topic. And just one housekeeping note before I pass it off to Ian. At the end of today's webinar, everyone will receive, before the end of the day today, your workday, you'll receive an email. Check your junk folder with a link to the recording of today's webinar on our YouTube channel, as well as a link to the course that Ian will be telling you about today. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to add them in the chat. Just make sure that in your to column, you indicate everyone so that everyone can see your questions. And I will be including a link to the course in the chat as well, so you can check it out while listening to Ian. Okay, Ian, over to you.
Thanks so much, Mary Ellen, for the introduction. It's always nerve-wracking hearing my bio being read out, but thank you for that. As an addition to that, because obviously we're talking about casino gaming today, and you're probably wondering, what is my connection to casino gaming? As Mary Ellen said, I relocated to Canada a number of years ago with my family. My wife is Canadian, and we always joke that I'm the souvenir that was brought back. As I came to Canada, I transitioned away from my policing background, and I moved into the private sector. And ultimately became the head of anti-money laundering at a provincial crown corporation responsible for managing casino gaming within a province. It was at that point in time where the importance of casino gaming investigation really came to the forefront. You know, I was a hiring manager who was trying to hire staff who would be able to conduct casino gaming investigations. And it's a very different environment from traditional financial crimes. And I found there really wasn't a training program, there wasn't really a training package in place. And that led me, along with several other industry leaders, to create the Association of Certified Gaming Compliance Specialists. And I'll talk a little bit about the work of the association later today. That led us to create an industry certification focusing on all the key competencies and all the key skills required of a casino gaming investigator, whether it be law enforcement or private sector. And that's led us to where we are today with this really exciting partnership with Dalhousie. And hopefully, as we go through my short presentation, you will see how exciting this topic is. You can hopefully see how excited I am about this partnership and this topic, and I'm sure all of you will as well. As we go through my presentation, I'm going to talk a little bit about why training in this space is important, both for policing and for casino and regulatory staff. I'm going to take that one step further and talk about why it's especially important here, post 2021, with some legislative changes here in Canada. I'll talk a little bit about the Association of Certified Gaming Compliance Specialists. I'll talk a little bit about our certification, the Certified Gaming Compliance Specialist certification, and how that translates, or how that partners with this course that we're talking about today, Casino Gaming Investigations. And I'll talk a little bit about the course itself, the structure, the types of things we're going to cover on the course, the interactions that we're going to have throughout the 12 weeks, and ultimately what key skills and competencies you'll come away with at the end of the course. But probably before we actually start talking about this topic, it's worth reminding ourselves what topic we're actually covering. So I have a short clip here I'd like to share with everyone.
Feeling lucky? You've come to the right place. Fun in the sun? No problem. 100 ways to win? Easy. And for those of you who aren't satisfied to just play all day, you can play all night.
Hi, I'm Marty Bird.
And I'm Wendy Bird. If you're gambling on your next vacation, make the smart bet.
Come see us here at the Missouri Bell. We like your odds!
The Missouri Bell Casino is open 24 hours.
A little bit of a fun clip to start the session. That's obviously from Ozark, the Netflix documentary on money laundering in casinos. But it really sets the scene, and it shows the types of activities that can occur within a casino. Casino games, slot machines, table games, very different environment from traditional money laundering. So why is training important? Over the past couple of years, as I'm sure many of you will be aware, there's been many high-profile media stories about money laundering and other financial crimes that are occurring within casinos. You'll see I've used the term land-based casino in this slide because as we go through, I'll be talking not just about brick and mortar casinos, which we're largely familiar with, but also the new online gaming environment that has been recently legalized here in Canada. And you'll see that these media articles, this talk about money laundering, really spans the entire country. We saw in the previous slide money laundering in Quebec, money laundering in Ontario. British Columbia, for example, has had a significant Royal Commission focusing, called the Cullen Commission, investigating money laundering through the casinos and also through real estate. So there's historically been land-based casinos have been a high-risk environment for money laundering and other financial crimes. And as we go through the 12 weeks on the course, we'll talk a lot about the structures of casino gaming from the provincial regulators, the crown corporations that conduct and manage casinos, as well as the private sector operators, because it can really be quite a logistical minefield for law enforcement trying to identify who to go to. Now, in 2021, the casino gaming landscape really changed here in Canada, following a 20-year effort to legalize single event sports betting. So if we look at the Canadian Criminal Code, single event wagering, as we call it, was illegal. It existed in the black market, it existed in the grey market, but it wasn't legal here in Canada. After 20 years of campaigning, this was legalized. And this allowed each province in Canada to take their own approach as to how they would would allow this to take place. In the province of Ontario, really the most liberal of provinces, and the province which many others are watching, Ontario also introduced private sector operators. So today there are around 35 private companies who are offering online betting. There's around 70 different legal websites alone in Ontario. Each province is taking a different approach, but 70 different online betting websites which are regulated by the province of Ontario. We're just coming up to the 1-year anniversary of actual implementation, so it's really been a roller coaster year for the industry. It's been a very much a learning exercise for all of us, for law enforcement, for regulators, for operators, and for crown corporations. So why am I talking about this? What does this mean for law enforcement? What does this mean for casino investigations? Well, it makes the job incredibly difficult. It makes investigating financial crimes, investigating the proceeds of crimes going through the casino industry much harder, because there's so many more legal actors now. It also, as you've probably seen through the range of commercials that are now on TV, the issue of online gaming is being promoted heavily. So what does this mean for criminal investigations, for example? It means that there's now a higher likelihood that your target of investigation may be using a sports betting app, or be conducting transactions in the iGaming space, potentially with proceeds of crime that you're investigating. And as I said in the beginning of the presentation, money laundering and financial crimes which occur in the casino and iGaming space are very different from traditional financial crimes, and we're moving into a position where it's no longer the remit of specialized financial crime units, specialized fraud teams, provincial gaming investigation units. It's not uncommon for every police officer to have some interaction with casino gaming. I can tell you from my professional experience in the public sector, I was regularly being contacted by law enforcement officers from across the country, from across my province here in Ontario, from the regional level, from the municipal level, with questions about how does money laundering work in casinos? How could criminals use casinos and iGaming? So really, when it comes to training that's available, training is currently very centralized within police colleges, within specialized teams. This course and this certification, this partnership that we have, really opens the door, and it really expands the accessibility to training. I want to show another clip here. You may recognize with this movie when I show it. This is trying to give an insight into the type of investigations, the type of opportunities which exist in a land-based casino.
Damn it, trying to make it real compared to what sucked it to me.
In Vegas, everybody's got to watch everybody else. Since the players are looking to beat the casino, the dealers are watching the players. The boxmen are watching the dealers. The floormen are watching the boxmen. The pit bosses are watching the floormen. The shift bosses are watching the pit bosses. The casino manager is watching the shift bosses. I'm watching the casino manager, and the eye in the sky is watching us all. Plus, we had a dozen guys up there, most of them ex-cheats, who knew every trick in the house.
So this particular clip you would have seen. Sorry, this particular clip that I showed is obviously from the 1990s film Casino. Really, a little bit of, again, trying to make a topic connection with popular culture. But you've seen in that particular clip, I use that clip to really emphasize the nature of security and surveillance within the casino industry, because really in a land-based casino, there are so many different roles that have a responsibility when it comes to the prevention and detection of crime. And we've certainly seen that through the types of individuals who have been taking courses to date through the Association of Certified Gaming Compliance Specialists. We've seen table dealers, we've seen pit bosses, we've seen general managers, those roles which you wouldn't necessarily maybe think were connected with casino gaming investigations, realizing that now they have a role. So the Association of Certified Gaming Compliance Specialists brought out a certification in the tail end of 2022, designed by industry leaders from many high-profile gaming jurisdictions, really to craft a curriculum which focused on topics that were essential to casino gaming investigations. Traditionally, certifications into financial crime focused largely on topics like money laundering, focused on topics like fraud, and these really are just scratching the surface of the types of knowledge areas which are applicable in casino gaming. Whether you're in policing or whether you're in the private sector, or whether you're thinking of transitioning into casino gaming, the broad spectrum of topics really much more here in casino gaming. So the Certified Gaming Compliance Specialist certification, it actually consists of 73 different modules. I've thrown up some of the most prominent ones here. You'll see that we're not just focusing on money laundering or fraud, but you have topics like risk management. You have topics like bribery and corruption. You have topics which are specific to casino gaming. You have sports betting, match fixing, and odds manipulation. This content has actually been designed by the University of New Haven, by a prominent thought leader in this field, and we actually go through how matches can be fixed, how the matches which are offered by these sports betting companies can be manipulated by match fixers and organized criminals. We also talk about human trafficking. Thinking about the land-based, these brick and mortar casinos, these casino resorts that exist. We partnered with the Canadian Centre to End Human Trafficking and have produced some really in-depth modules on human trafficking. We talk about regulatory compliance, so the roles and responsibilities of casino operators, of provincial regulators, of law enforcement, how everything connects. And we also focus on key skills. We focus on leadership and ethics, because we're not simply building knowledge here, we're building skills and conduct as well. Since launching the certification back in 2022, we're approaching 400 individuals who have now taken this certification, which is really very much more than we were anticipating. And we've seen a wide range of registrations. We've seen a wide range of graduates from the program. We've seen directors of compliance, we've seen surveillance operators, we've seen directors of investigations from provincial organizations, from provincial regulators. We've seen law enforcement, we've seen high numbers of registrations from provincial police, from municipal police, not just in Canada, but from the US as well. I have on the right of the screen some of the audience who have been interested and signed up and have completed the certification. We've had Canada, but we've also had from the US. We've had a large contingent just recently from the New Jersey Division of Gaming Enforcement. We've had several gaming commissions, several gaming regulators who are now trying to grapple with legalizing online gaming within their own states. We've had registrations from other gaming jurisdictions in Europe. We have Malta, Gibraltar, the UK. It's really an international certification, and it really reflects the international nature of casino gaming. So this really brings us to our exciting partnership with Dalhousie. So what we've been able to create, and I'll show you the 12-week outline in a moment, is we've created, based off the Certified Gaming Compliance Specialist syllabus, we've created a 12-week or a 36-hour online virtual course called Casino Gaming Investigations, where over the course of 12 weeks, you'll gain an understanding of how casinos operate, what the landscape is here in Canada, and also contrasting that with other jurisdictions as well. Since the publication of this course, I've had a lot of inquiries from potential students in the US and in Europe. So I'm really confident that we may have an international cohort, which will create some really great discussions and live sessions. We'll talk about key risks that are faced by casino and iGaming operators. We'll talk about this new and emerging topic of sports betting and how match fixing can occur. We'll take a deep dive into financial crime typologies and methodologies that are used by organized criminals and money launderers, how casinos can be exploited, and how, crucially, you as investigators can investigate these occurrences. As I said, we're talking about a 12-module course. I have up on the screen here the curriculum. We'll start off by opening a discussion on the landscape, how casinos work in Canada, which may be very different from many other jurisdictions. In the following week, we'll talk about how organized crime links with casinos, and then we'll really, over the coming weeks, dive into many of the crime types: money laundering, fraud, bribery, and corruption. We'll, in week 6, take a really practical approach into conducting investigations in the casino gaming environment. As I said, with sports betting and match fixing, we have some great expert content from industry thought leaders. We'll talk a lot in week 8 about many of the casino and iGaming specific typologies which don't exist in other forums, simply because there's no casino games. The existence of slot machines, of table games, of iGaming, of apps creates a number of specific crime types, money laundering, fraud typologies that we'll explore. In Module 9, we'll take a deep dive into human trafficking. As I mentioned earlier, we've partnered with the Canadian Centre to End Human Trafficking to produce some really in-depth modules, not just on what is human trafficking, but how it links to the casino gaming industry. And we've done some really interesting mapping across many different provinces of Canada, mapping where casinos are and where human trafficking hotspots are. We'll talk about responsible gaming. This is this approach to dealing with problem gambling and problem gamblers, and see the crossovers between problem gamblers and crime. We'll cover loan sharking in this week, for example. In week 11, we'll talk about the frameworks, as I say, in which casino staff, casino operators, government regulators operate. We'll talk a lot about the criminal code, and crucially, from your perspective as an investigator, how you can navigate sometimes this labyrinth of different actors. In week 12, we'll talk about this continuing process of development and evolution. We'll talk about things like cryptocurrency. We'll talk about information security. We'll talk about a lot of the risks and the future challenges, because this really is an industry that is constantly evolving, constantly developing, and also with organized criminals constantly trying to take advantage of new products and services which are being offered by the casinos. So throughout the 12-week course, we have a number of really interactive assessments. We have a number of discussion forums where the class will come together and discuss key topics and discuss different perspectives, different thoughts, really working together. We'll have a number of written assignments which are actually practical in nature. I've specifically designed these to be real-world focused. We'll have a number of knowledge checks, number of quizzes throughout the course, and then ultimately a final project where we'll talk about how we can develop a best-in-class investigation unit, best-in-class investigation team, and how that would actually work in practice. Whilst this is an online and virtual course, it's by no means a static course. In addition to our discussion forums, which are really, really interactive, we'll have a number of live sessions as well. Over the course, we'll have a number of meetings where we'll talk about some of the key topics and really have really detailed discussions, drawing upon each and everyone's professional practice, professional experience. And this is really where I think, looking at the types of inquiries we've had for this course so far, from across Canada, from other jurisdictions, from other sectors. We've had regulators, police officers, private casino staff inquiring about this course. I really think we're going to leverage experiences from each and every person. At the end of the course, obviously having gone through all of the assessments and achieved a passing grade, this is really where casino gaming investigations really stands out, because there's not simply one outcome from the course, there's two. If you pass all the assessments, you will receive a micro-credential in casino gaming investigations from Dalhousie University. You'll also receive the Certified Gaming Compliance Specialist certification from the Association of Certified Gaming Compliance Specialists. So the Certified Gaming Compliance Specialist certification is typically a self-study course, which is exam-based. But because when we've designed casino gaming investigations, we've really mapped all of the key skills and competencies to the course, you'll actually receive the certification by assessment, by completing the assessments in the course. You won't have to take the exam. So really, as you end the course, you'll receive both an industry certification and an academic micro-credential. And this is what's really exciting for us at the association, because we're bringing together the practitioner and the academic space. I'm really very excited. I think you can tell from me that I'm really excited for April 7th to come around and really launch this course on our first cohort. But I'll take a break because I'm conscious I've been talking for a while, and I'll pass it back to Mary Eleanor if there's any questions from anyone.
Wonderful. Thanks very much, Ian. Such a thorough run through of the course, of the association, of the details, and the value that's really available to learners. Yes, happy to open it up for questions. If you prefer to unmute yourself, happy to do, or if you prefer to be unmuted, I'm happy to do that on your behalf. Just raise your hand or type out a question in the chat. I'll actually get us started, just knowing that perhaps people might be typing. So can you elaborate on some of the experts who have contributed to the course content, Ian, their backgrounds, and just, you know, I'm sure that people would love to know who else is contributing to the course content.
Sure thing. So the certification was actually something which was designed over close to 18 months in consultation with not just experts in Canada, from directors of compliance, from casinos, from law enforcement, from academics, but also from other gaming jurisdictions as well. We had a lot of interaction with many directors of investigation in the US, many different US states, and also in the gaming jurisdictions of Malta and Gibraltar as well. So really, as we were designing this, we had a number of objectives. We wanted to make sure that the certification would be international in nature, would be transferable across different jurisdictions, because it's not uncommon, especially in the black market and the gray market that I talked about, for players to be in Canada, for example, but using an iGaming service that is based in Malta or Gibraltar or the UK, for example. So a lot of different perspectives, slight jurisdictional differences. And we also wanted to capture a wide range of experience. So not simply focusing just on directors of compliance from casinos, but getting that law enforcement perspective, getting that regulator perspective, really asking not just for their knowledge, but what topics would you want to see in a certification? I think one of the predominant feedback we were receiving from the industry was that there are courses and certifications which exist for financial crime, but they're heavily focused on financial institutions, banks, credit unions. They didn't really cover the types of methodologies, the types of topics that the gaming industry experiences. For example, you don't have sports betting or match fixing in a financial institution. You don't have many of the typologies you see. And we asked these industry leaders, what type of topics would you want to see in your staff? If you were hiring someone to work as a casino gaming investigator as part of your unit, what type of knowledge would you want them to bring? And prior to this certification, there was a lot of real buzz and enthusiasm about the work that we were doing, because up until this point, the casino gaming courses that you could take were short courses. There was a number of organizations that had a four-hour short course on casino gaming that really scratched the surface of the topic. We designed the certification as a 30 to 40 hour credit study period, so really showcasing the in-depth nature of it.
Fantastic. And I'm wondering too, Ian, if you might be able to elaborate on some of the soft skills that you mentioned that learners would be able to kind of sharpen or enhance through the course, and how that's built into the modules, because I'd love to know more about that. I understand that it's about developing kind of the expertise, but then also maybe you could speak to some of those other pieces that are woven in throughout the course.
Sure, I think that's a great question, because from the very beginning of the construction of this certification, we wanted to make sure that it wasn't simply a knowledge dump. It wasn't simply a PDF or a study guide where you learned knowledge and you didn't know how to implement it in practice. We've all been on training courses, we've all taken courses where it's just reading without any practical implementation. So that's why specifically on the certification, and as has been developed into the 12 modules here, we're focusing not just on knowledge, but we're focusing on leadership. So leadership styles, developing your personal leadership style, especially in the gaming environment. We talk about ethics as well, how to be ethical in a industry which has a reputation in some parts for not being ethical. And we also focus on investigation skills and investigation best practices. So although we have written assignments, we have written assessments, we also focus on things like starting an investigation, planning an investigation, writing, report writing, presenting, because many people in the audience, aside from producing written reports, will also have to give presentations to senior managers, senior leaders, and that's something which we've also built in to the knowledge and communication skills as well. So aside from these skills and these inputs which we've designed, we've also woven those into the assessments as well. So through each of the assessments, when a student is writing their investigation report or constructing their investigation plan, there's also a presentation component as well. We're asking students to present in a recorded manner for 5 to 10 minutes their findings. And there'll be really detailed feedback, detailed discussion of these skills. So really, I think we've been very intentional throughout this course and certification in finding that nice balance between knowledge and how to translate that into the real world, as it were.
Yeah, very interesting. And I'm wondering if you can, so, you know, myself, not necessarily the target audience for this course, because of course my field is in marketing communications, but when I think of myself as a learner in general, I appreciate the flexibility that an online course or certification might be able to offer me. And you mentioned live sessions and the structure of the certification in general over those 12 weeks. I wonder if you could speak to just the kind of the flexibility that's built into the design of the course, what elements of it might be able to be completed at a learner's own pace, recognizing that there might be some people who are joining us today who might be wondering about that. You know, to what extent can I learn on my own schedule, and how might this course fit into my life, my career?
Perfect. That's a great question. I think if I can answer that in 2 parts. I think firstly, this course, as well as our original certification, has been really designed for many different audiences. It's been designed for police officers, law enforcement. It's been designed for those who work in casino gaming already, those that work in casinos or work in iGaming. And thirdly, it's also been designed for those who are looking to move into this space as well. So through our certification, we've had many registrations from individuals who are working in financial institutions already, in banks. We've had a number of students who are coming up to graduation, who are looking to get their foot in the door in casino gaming. So when we look at the broad target audience that we have for this course, we also recognize that we're dealing with a wide range of different lifestyles, schedules, and there is no 9 to 5. And this is something which is not only in law enforcement. We know shift work is a factor with law enforcement. It's also a factor in casino gaming as well. Casinos are 24/7 operations. So what I really like about this course that we've been able to offer through Dalhousie is the fact that its virtual nature means that students can complete the vast majority of the coursework on their own time. We have deadlines which are published from the beginning of the course, so students can plan their 12 weeks. Through our discussion forums, we have lengthy time periods to complete them. Our quizzes typically have a week to complete them. The live sessions, we try and schedule them as best we can based on the cohort of students that we have. We also record the sessions as well. So whether someone is working a 9 to 5 or whether someone is working shift work, it really has been tailored for everyone.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ian, for your detailed responses. Are there any questions? I'll just pause here and see if there are any more questions from anyone. Okay. Thank you, Ian, for including the your email address at the bottom there, info@acgcs.org. I've also included an email address in the chat. So if anyone has questions about the course, you can certainly reach out to Ian. Then recognizing that this may be a course that is of interest to a team that you might manage, a larger group. And if you would like to inquire about enrolling a group in the course, you can certainly reach out to openlearning@dal.ca as well, if that is of interest. I will just take this opportunity to wrap us up. And before I do, I will certainly thank Ian so much for preparing today's presentation and for walking us through the subject matter. I'm very interested in taking the course myself and earning the certification. Such a timely topic. So please keep an eye out in your inboxes. Certainly check your junk folders in case it lands there, with an email from our faculty from Dalhousie with a link to the recording from today's webinar, along with a link to the course itself if you haven't had a chance to explore it already. Thanks very much, Abdul. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us. Abdul is just included to hosts and panelists in the chat. I want to thank you and Dr. Ian for having us. So yes, absolutely. Thanks, Ian, very much. Thank you, everyone, for your attention, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks, Ian.
Thank you.
Take care.